Hi everyone, next installment of a TrailingStop video for MetaTrader programming. So firstly I need to make a confession. When I have started doing this thing, I thought, yes, well, we can make a TrailingStop. Normally I do it with an EA, but I know we can squeeze it into a script because that's simpler. And the truth is you can do this, but I've actually been doing some experimenting this week, and it doesn't work very well actually, forcing these things into a script. So what we are actually going to do at some point is create our first EA and transfer the code over to that. But for now I'm going to carry on. As I said, this is going to be in multiple parts, and partly it's just refining the code and making it more generally useful, because we've got the basic functionality there. But I just want to do a bit more refining and generalizing. Then we're going to move over to an EA, and then we should have a very useful general purpose TrailingStop script, which you can add to and modify. Not script, sorry, EA, which you can add to and modify as you wish. Okay, so this is where we got to. You see, we made it much simpler. So now we just got this one function here, modify TrailingStop. And we give it the number of bars to trail and this offset parameter saying we only want the last completed bar. This function we're not actually using anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that now. And then here's the bit where all the work happens. Now, at the moment, we've got the way we modify the stop built into this here, and it's a bit messy. And to make it more general, what I want to do is pull that code out into a separate function as well. And the reason being is what I then want to do is, because we might want to trail, rather than trading the lowest low or the highest high, you might actually want to trail on something like an EA or some other indicator value, or all sorts of, you can trail on anything you want. But it's a bit harder if it's all fiddly built into the this bit of code. So I'm going to factor it out, as they say. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a new function, which is going to be boolean because there's a possibility that it won't work, and I'll explain why in a moment. I'm going to call it get trailing stop level. Okay, this function you're going to need to tell it whether you want a long or a short. So have a parameter which is the direction. We're going to need to get the price back, which is going to be the stop loss. Now, something you need to know here, you have to put that ampersand symbol in there. Basically, if you're just passing stuff in, then you don't need the ampersand. If you're getting stuff out from the function, this is how the function is going to tell you what the stop loss is, then you need to have the ampersand there. Okay, that's all you need to know for now. Right, and we will need the offset for now, which is again you're just passing it in, so it doesn't need the ampersand. Right. Okay. So that's what the function is going to look like. Okay. And so now I'm going to use this code here. Grab this and this code here. This is basically the code I'm going to move down here instead. Now you see it's a bit of a mess at the moment. So first thing we need to do is decide what direction we're going in. So if the direction equals 1, we'll just say if it's greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, so it's going to be a long trade, then we're going to do our long stuff. Else, if direction is less than 0, then we're going to do the short stuff. Okay. So let's put that like that. So now this is the long trade stuff. So I'll move this into here. Right, so this is the long trade. So the index is the lowest low of the trail length. Now we need to pass the trail length in here as well. And the offset we passed in already. So if the index is greater than 0, then the stop loss is now a parameter coming from. I'll explain all this if I'm going a bit quick. I'll explain it all at the end. Okay, but stop loss is now a parameter, so I don't need to put the double anymore. And all right, so now the other thing I need to do is if the index is not greater than 0, it means I haven't managed to find the lowest low for some reason. It shouldn't ever happen, but it might happen. And if it does happen, then I'm going to return false to say that we weren't able to set the stop level. Okay. So this may still look like a mess, but let me just carry on doing this, and then I'll explain exactly what I've done. Okay. Oops. Bit of a mess there. Hang on. Right, high is high, if index is greater than 0, stop loss equals that, else return false. Right, and then if it's worked, we're going to return true. Okay, so let me now talk you through what I've done there, because that's probably rather fast. Right, so this is a function to work out the trailing stop level. We're going to pass in the direction whether it's going to be long or short. We're going to pass in the trail length, and we're going to pass in the offset. In fact, what I'll do, just to make this a bit more obvious what I'm doing, all those bits are being passed in, and then this bit is being passed out, which has the ampersand on it. Okay. So the direction we passed in, if it's greater than 0, we're going to mean we want a long trade. We're going to get the lowest low for the last trail length number of bars. Trail length again is passed in, with the offset passed in as well. Okay. If we manage to get the low successfully, we're going to set the stop loss, which is a parameter, to the lowest low minus the point, as before. Otherwise, if you haven't managed to get the low, we're going to return false, say it's a failure. If we're instead doing a short trade, then, again, sorry, this annoys me if the indentation isn't right. It's not right, hang on. There, right, okay. Similarly for the short trade, to get the highest high, if you manage to get it, set the stop loss, otherwise return false. So if we manage to do all that successfully, we will return true to say, yes, we've managed to do it. Okay. So we've done that, just check that no mistakes there. Trail length undeclared identifier, that's because I've got a capital letter where I shouldn't have one. I actually prefer having the capital letter there, so I'll do it that way around. Compile. Yep. Okay. Right. Okay. So that function has now been written. Now, what we need to do next is here, instead of having all this code, I'm going to say if we manage to get the trailing stop correct. So I'll just copy that over here. And this is for a buy trade, so I'm going to put 1 for long there. And the trail length is going to be our in-bars trail, which we passed in here as trail length, so that's okay. Offset's passed in here as well. And right, what I'm going to do is put a double here. Stop loss. This is the value I'm going to get back, right? And this is the thing I'm getting back from the function here. Okay. So I can see I've got a comma there, which I shouldn't have. Interesting, the compiler didn't pick that up. Right, if I manage to get it okay, then I'm going to do the modification. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically right. Okay, so now I just copy this. Now here, because it's a short trade, I want -1 for short trades. Trail length thing's the same. Stop loss, don't need this because that's what we're calculating now. And then right. Now you see this is a bit neater now because all the code for doing the stop loss calculation is now in the separate module here. Okay, and this bit here is just trying to get the stop loss. If you manage to get it okay, then we try and set it. If we set it okay, then we set the thing to success to true. Now notice if this bit doesn't work, then the success variable never gets set to true. It stays at false, so this will also return false. So that's consistent. So, okay, I've clearly missed something out here. Oh, we're missing a bracket. Okay. And there as well, of course. You see the number of compiler errors that are generated just for one missing bracket because it really throws everything out. Okay, so there we are. This doesn't actually do anything different, but the code is much nicer. Take it from me. So we just check it's still working. Here is a, I don't know what we're doing here, demo account. Let's just buy some pound CAD. And we want a 3-bar trail on, where are we? Script, my third script. Drop that in, 5-bar trail, so I should put the stop loss there. There it goes, right. Okay, so it's doing the same as it was before, so not yet terribly useful because it's not updating constantly. You just have to keep dropping it in. But the code is looking much nicer. We can now start modifying this to have different choices for our trailing stop. And yes, we'll do move on to doing the proper EA. Okay, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Questions as always if you want them, if you have them. Otherwise, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.